Hi everyone, welcome to my video about animal sign forecast in BaZi for 2026. My name is Ivan from House of Entrieri, or rather an AI avatar of myself. I am a BaZi, Qimendunjia, Feng Shui, and Yijing consultant. In Chinese metaphysics, there are 12 animal signs in total, and each year, one of them takes the lead. In 2026, we enter the year of the horse, and more specifically, the fire horse. So today we'll talk about the dragon animal sign. Let's break it down. Here's the dragon's outlook for 2026. For many of you, this year feels different almost immediately. The pressure that was sitting there in the background before, the kind that slows things down or makes everything feel heavier than it should, starts to ease. But it doesn't disappear because things magically improve. It eases because you start correcting what was not working. This is not a year where you push harder and force results. It's a year where you adjust, refine, and remove what no longer makes sense. And when you do that, momentum comes back naturally. When you look at the key influences this year, especially Heavenly Relief, Relief God, and 8 seats, they all point in the same direction. Fix what is misaligned. Let go of what should have been dropped earlier, and allow progress to come from clarity, not pressure. At the same time, something else is happening. You may notice yourself being pulled into more important environments, bigger conversations, situations where decisions are made, not just discussed. You are not there to take control immediately. You are there to observe, understand, and position yourself properly. That distinction matters a lot this year. Now let's talk about what really drives 2026 for the dragon. Sky relief. Sky relief does not mean everything becomes easy. It means when something is off, you can correct it cleanly. In your work, this could mean restructuring how you operate, changing roles, fixing inefficient systems. In your personal life, it could mean adjusting habits, relationships, or routines that you have been tolerating for too long. Many dragons will realize this year that certain things are simply outdated, and instead of enduring them, you now have the space to redesign them. There is also a built-in recovery effect this year. You may still face challenges, but when things go wrong, you recover faster. Mistakes don't drag on. They become lessons, and you move forward. Next, we look at trust and authority. 8 seats is not a loud star. It doesn't give you instant spotlight. It gives you responsibility. People start relying on your judgment more. Your role may expand. You may be given more visibility, more decision-making weight, or even better financial recognition. But at the same time, you are stepping into environments where influence already exists. So the goal is not to prove yourself immediately. It's to understand how things work, how decisions are made, how people align, and where your position fits into that structure. Trust is the main currency here. If you build it properly, it compounds. If you damage it, the cost is higher than expected. One key caution this year is over-eagerness, trying to contribute too early, speaking without full context, getting involved in matters that are not yours to handle yet. So the approach is simple. Observe first, then contribute when you understand the ground. Now let's talk about the background noise. Leopard tail and sky dog bring more gossip, more reactions, and sometimes unnecessary commentary. This tends to increase when you become more visible or when you start fixing things that others have left unresolved. Some feedback may be useful, but a lot of it is just noise. So the focus is to correct yourself where needed and then continue moving. At the same time, social dynamics may not always be obvious. Not every environment operates with clear rules. Some things are unspoken. That's why observation becomes a strength this year. Emotionally, there can be some fluctuation. At times you may feel driven and clear. At other times, doubt may appear. There may also be periods where you feel more withdrawn or prefer to be alone. This is not a negative. This is where you process, recalibrate, and regain clarity. Lonesome star this year can actually be useful. Now on health and safety, the theme here is prevention. There are indications for minor procedures, dental work, or medical attention. If something needs to be checked, don't delay it. Handle it early and you avoid bigger issues later. Also, be more careful with environments that are unstable or risky. This is not the year to test limits unnecessarily. Another point here is emotional load. There is a tendency to carry other people's responsibilities, especially family-related matters. So boundaries become important. Support where you can, but don't absorb everything. Next, communication. Your influence increases this year, which means your words carry more weight. So be careful with sharp remarks, impulsive responses, or speaking based on assumptions. Keep things clear. Keep things measured. Verify before reacting. Clarity will save you from a lot of unnecessary complications. Now, internally, this is also a strong learning year. What you have gone through before, especially the difficult parts, can now be turned into something useful. Skills improve. Judgment becomes sharper. Decision-making becomes cleaner. This is not just personal growth for the sake of it. It directly increases your practical value. Now, I have explained the 4 pillars in a previous video where your animal signs could appear. The term BaZi literally means 8 characters. These characters are derived from your birth date and time, translated into 4 pairs of Chinese elements called heavenly stems and earthly branches. Where this shows up depends on your chart. If your dragon is in the year pillar, this affects your networks, your industry, and how you interact with larger groups. If it's in the month pillar, this connects strongly to your career, responsibilities, and exposure to higher level decision making. If it's in the day pillar, relationships become quieter and the focus shifts towards personal clarity and self-development. If it's in the hour pillar, this is about long-term planning, future direction, and the people you guide or develop. And for those in luck pillars, this year helps you identify gaps. And those gaps become opportunities to build influence over time. In terms of timing, August, September, and December tend to be more supportive. October and the early part of 2027 require a bit more awareness. Use timing to pace yourself, not to create fear. So overall, for the dragon, 2026 is not about pushing harder. It's about adjusting smarter. When you remove what is unnecessary, progress returns. When you protect trust, authority grows. And when you take time to observe and position yourself properly, influence builds in a way that lasts. That is the outlook for the dragon animal sign in 2026. I'll be continuing this series and covering the remaining animal signs so you can understand how the year plays out across the full cycle. If this was useful for you, take a moment to like the video and subscribe to the channel. It helps more people find this content, and it allows me to keep sharing deeper insights like this. I'll see you in the next one.